Another one of those, I was going through my private videos and I found a comment I meant to respond to that I never did. Do you know anything about Destiel? Because no, they didn't kill Cass 2 episodes after they made him explicitly queer. They had him confess his gay love to Dean and then die immediately. They also literally spent, like, 12 years writing this relationship between, like, Cass and Dean. I watched a 52-minute long video essay on the history of Destiel the other day, and man, it was something. I've watched the show a few times, so, like, I also have, things I remember, but this was definitely a good breakdown of it. But basically, the first 2 seasons were kind of like, haha, jokey, even, like, fan service type thing, especially because season 4 and 5, when Cass was first introduced, came out in 2008 and 2009. So at the time, explicit queer rep was, like, not, like, a thing that anyone thought was going to happen. And then you have season 6, where they basically just wrote Cass having an affair, but, like, not. Like, it's the same elements involved, but, that wasn't explicitly what was happening. And then in season 7, they tried to kill off Cass, which, there's this whole thing about, apparently the showrunner hated Cass and tried to get everyone to hate him and kill him off, which I don't know how much truth that holds, but that's what I've heard. They had to bring him back, though, because they lost their viewership by, like, 30%. When they did, we found out that Dean, while having to consistently switch cars so that he couldn't easily be tracked, because he was being framed for, like, many crimes. And there were monsters who were disguising themselves as people with enormous amounts of political power after them. So yeah, they had to, like, keep going through a bunch of, like, junk cars and rental cars. All throughout that time, he kept Castiel's trench coat just in the trunk. He kept taking it out and transferring it, and he remembered every single time. So when he found Cass, he gave him the trench coat. All of this totally platonically, of course. And then you get season 8, which is, like, wildly accepted as the gayest season. Because the first 3 seasons that we see with Cass, it's very much, you can see this from the lens of, likely unrequited love. But then season 8, it is very much requited from both sides. They love each other so dearly. They literally go through hell together. And this is where you notice a pattern in the ships that I like. Because Cass was brainwashed by Heaven so that he would kill Dean. And in order to do that, they forced him to kill hundreds, like, practice killing Dean, like, in a simulation, hundreds of times until he got it right. But then when it came down to when he actually was supposed to do it, Dean kneeled there and begged him not to do this because they needed him, because he needed Cass. And then Cass broke through the brainwashing when we saw the whole time. This was not a thing that he had been capable of up until this point. He broke through brainwashing from a few words from Dean. I need you. I'm with you till the end of the line. I'm fine. And then season 9, they intentionally kept them apart, which is, like, a whole thing where it's like, well, where else were they going to go up until that point? Season 10 to 12 was insane. Again, they were intentionally keeping them apart after how gay season 8 was. They had to, like, back off. But then, so Cass dies again. These characters die a lot and then come back. And, like, so does Dean's mom, mind you, because she came back from the dead and then she died again, I guess. But Dean is more actively, like, grieving Cass, despite the fact that he also lost his mom at the beginning of season 13. And then there's like a noticeable like demeanor shift, and it's just like, yeah, Cass coming back from the dead in season 13 was a whole like thing where it's like, this is not a heterosexual reaction. Why is he playing dress up? Like immediately after Cass comes back, he's playing dress up as a cowboy with Destiel. Like this is not, there's no heterosexual explanation for this. I'm sorry. And then, so now they have a son. They literally raise a child together. Again, totally platonically. They just have been raised a child together for the last 3 seasons of Supernatural. Now, season 14 is a shit show, but the end of season 14 and the beginning of season 15, we have this like major breakup storyline that we go through with Cass and Dean. When, again, they weren't ever together romantically, but it's like very much, this feels like a breakup. And it hurts. It has all the elements of a breakup, but just like minus the fact that they were never explicitly in a romantic relationship. Also, I would like to add in the fact that Dean, originally when he's introduced as this womanizer, ladies' man type guy who's constantly having these hookups. He doesn't have any hookups at this point. Like, at this point in the series, the last time he's like canonically on screen had a hookup was like, I think it was they said season 8, and the last time he had any relationship with a woman was season 6. On the other hand, they were able to introduce a canon love interest for Sam that everyone was down for and loved. But they just couldn't do that with Dean because it was like, this position is already filled by Destiel. And then 2 episodes before the series finale, because season 15 was the planned last season of Supernatural, we have an entire, like, 2-minute long love confession from Destiel. Now, it's important to note that Destiel made a deal with this entity called the Empty, wherein basically he traded his life for his son's life, you know, the son that he and Dean were very platonically raising. Long story, like I said, these characters die a lot. But she was kind of pissed at Cass. Again, another long story, this show's a shit show. So she said, fine, but I'm not gonna come until you experience a moment of true happiness. Do you want to know what his moment of true happiness was? Having this 2-minute long monologue where he tells Dean that he is the most kind, loving human being he's ever known, and that because of him, he cared about the whole world because of Dean. And that Dean changed him. That ever since they met, ever since he pulled him out of hell, knowing him has changed him. And then he says, I love you. Goodbye, Dean. And then the Empty is summoned and takes him forever. That was his moment of true happiness. We got an I love you, which to this day people deny was romantic, despite the actor coming out to say, hey guys, that was very much intended and played to be a romantic love confession. But after he confessed his gay love to Dean, he immediately went to super hell. Not just hell, because they've already been there multiple times, but super hell. And that was the last time Cass ever appeared on the show. And they never addressed it in the last 2 episodes. They mentioned Cass once in the series finale, even though Cass had been on the show for 12 years. So, don't at least they didn't. They did everything. And they did it worse, actually. Destiel is the poster child for queerbaiting, and it's for a reason. Because Destiel fans are all in super hell with our ship.